Hello, we are live here on Critical Conversations, the show where we get to let you talk to us. Hey, everybody. All right, let's make sure we are all good in the hood here. Yeah, it looks like we got some nice sound going on. Hey, LA. Hey, folks who were waiting in the queue here. We are so happy that you have decided to spend your Wednesday evening or Wednesday, whatever time zone you are in, with us. And I've been looking forward to this one all week, actually, because this is the one where Melissa gets to talk a lot. We are coming at you live here, and let's see. Yeah. Hey, Canada. Hey, Wyoming. Hey, North Carolina. Awesome. West Virginia. All right. We are live. So, a lot happening. I want to talk to you guys. I want to hear what you guys have to say. We're going to start this episode, though, with a couple little fun things before we get into anything, with super serious or whatever questions you guys might have for us. And that's going to start. I promised this, and I actually want to deliver. So, you know how we can never get Seven the Wonder Cat to come in with us and
he
be
never
on
wants
camera.
to hang out.
No. And he's a great cat. What is he, 14?
Almost. He'll be 14 in September.
Yeah, so he's been around a while.
Yeah.
He's just a cute little cutie, and I get pictures of him all the time, and I put him up on Twitter and stuff. Hashtag Seven the Wonder Cat. But one day I will get that trending. But we can never get him on camera. So I decided that we need to actually set up a remote live feed of Seven, so you guys can actually see what he's up to. So I have set this up here, and that is Seven, and he's sitting there outside his little, what do you call those things?
It's just a cat carrier. He's got a new cat carrier.
Right. So there he is, kind of kicking it next to there, and there you go. We will check back in on him as the evening progresses here, and see what else we might see him up to. Right now, he's just kind of chilling over there, so it's kind of a boring sort of situation. But maybe later we'll get him stirring or moving about.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, 2 a.m. Damn, some of you guys are just awesome.
Yeah.
The dedication. Okay, so cool. Yep. Hey Joyce, I see your communications here, and I'm sure we will talk about posts about recent events.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but first, let me introduce you to my wife, Melissa.
Hello.
So, Melissa and I met 4 years.
Yeah, it's
ago.
just been a little over 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and
well, we met technically about 4.5, but we started going out like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't seem like it was that.
I know.
And then
right?
at the same time, it seems like we've been together a really long time.
Yeah.
Time's weird. Yeah. So, so obviously she's feeling better and and back on the mic here. So I thought the first thing we would do before we even start taking any calls, because never had an opportunity to really do this, and this is definitely the most appropriate place to do it, is for Melissa to tell you guys about her and how, where she's coming from and that kind of thing. So, Melissa, take it away.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, technically I'm an atheist now, but there was a journey to that. I grew up in a secular family for the most part, but I did still experiment with things, but my dad's family when he was growing up was Seventh-day Adventist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so they were Seventh-day Adventists, and that's pretty evangelical kind of stuff right there.
Mm-hmm. This is grandma, right?
Yeah, they believe in the 6,000-year-old Earth, and dinosaurs were on the Ark and that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, she's a really nice old lady.
Nice. My grandma's lovely.
She really is.
She's wonderful, and
she's never tried to lay any hellfire damnation on me.
No.
And we've gone out a few times for dinner, and she's been perfectly pleasant. So. It's
she
not
just
quite
has
that
some strange
bad.
beliefs.
Yes, she does.
I think she's calmed down in her older years. But my dad, I won't get too much into it because it's his own story, but, he had a lot of rough times growing up in that religion. And so when he got older in his 20s and everything, he started getting out of it and finally just gave up on it altogether. And then technically I was baptized Catholic because my mom's side of the family is like Catholic. But I mean, I don't know. We went to church when I was a kid, like maybe 5 or 10 times. So it was really nothing. And my parents really don't have a lot of beliefs. I think my mom's a little more spiritual than my dad, my biological mom, just because she always said stuff like, oh, the saints, we have to have this saint medal or whatever. But she never really like cared about church or organized religion or whatever. So I think she's just more spiritual than religious. And my stepmom is pretty much agnostic. She grew up universal Unitarian, so they're pretty much everyone can come to church.
Right. And your dad and stepmom are here in Denver.
Right.
And your mom is in New York. Yeah, biological mom. And we don't really hear from her too much.
Yeah.
But we hang with dad and stepmom all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's the background of them. So my dad had decided, he didn't really want to push that on his kids, so that's why we kind of grew up pretty secular. And my mom's family was never pushing that much religion on her, so she didn't push it on me. And just to clear some things up, because I'm going to say some stuff and it's going to get confusing. But so my dad's been married 3 times. First to his first wife, and he had my sister, then me and my mom. And then he married my stepmom, who already had a daughter from her first marriage. So there will be a test later. Follow along.
Yeah. It took me a little while to get everybody straight.
Yeah. It gets confusing. And then we all have like different last names, and it's like, ugh. So, but that was, pretty much, I always had questions about it. I was always wondering what was the big deal about religion. I remember I was in elementary school when I asked my mom and my grandma, who's now my other grandma, her mom that's gone now. I remember asking them, like, why can't all the religions just take the good parts of them and combine it into one thing? Like, I don't get it, I was always kind of questioning, like, it doesn't make sense to me what people do. And then I remember, like, always when I was younger, like junior high, high school, and college, I always believed in, like, astrology, and I got really big into that and all the star signs and stuff. I still remember all the star signs for the most part. And I got all into that, and I remember I also got into some like, Wiccan stuff in college. I had some friends, Chrissy and Blair and what's her name? But there's a couple girls that I hung out with, and we were, and Renee, and then we were going to do all this occult stuff, and we were, doing the Ouija board and all that stuff. It was so ridiculous. But there was that. I kind of went through that phase that a lot of people go through when they're young. And then as I got older and more things happened, I just really started questioning spirituality and all that. I used to love reading tarot cards and runes and stuff. But then I just realized, like, this is kind of all BS. Like, I'm kind of full of crap, and I think everybody else doing this is kind of full of crap too. So I remember I never really called myself an atheist. I was always agnostic or spiritual or, something like that. But then about 5 years ago, I started really listening to the atheist stuff. Like, I started going to the Secular Hub in 2014 and being around a lot more atheists. And then in 2015, I started listening to a lot of like Seth Andrews and the Thinking Atheist and Aaron Ra and Matt Dillahunty and, guys like that. And, oh God, what's his name? Richard Dawkins and stuff like that. And so I really started realizing, like this makes sense. Like, I started watching a lot of Amazing Randy videos, and that got me really realizing how full of crap like psychics and stuff are, because it's just, and I don't even think, because I used to read tarot and runes, I don't think they always even realize it themselves that they're not fully, telling the truth, because you get so wrapped up in it and you're like, oh, I'm having feelings. Yeah. But when I really saw him break things down and how it really works and how people convince themselves of things that aren't really happening, like, that really That really changed me listening to all those guys. And then
Me too, by the way. That was almost the exact same path I followed coming out of Scientology and getting hooked up with that stuff. James, all the same guys, all the usual suspects.
He's amazing. Yeah. That's why they call him the Amazing Randy.
That's right.
But so that's kind of how I became atheist completely. And then, and then I just kind of went from there. I started hanging out at the Secular Hub more, started hanging out with Chris and all these atheists and getting into trouble. And, and I remember when I first was like realizing I'm an atheist, and I was all kind of firebrand on Facebook, and, you know, I had to post all the like angry atheist stuff, and, you know, and all the hatred towards religion kind of stuff. And I think now I'm a little more calmed down about it. I don't need to like post everything Ricky Gervais says about Christianity anymore.
Right.
I love Ricky Gervais, but he got into trouble a couple of times with his quotes on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Or Hitchens quotes.
Yeah. I love those guys, but they will get you into trouble if you quote them on social media.
Right.
And I don't need to argue with people as much anymore about religion. It's just, I've kind of calmed down. It's like, as long as you're not trying to force me into it, I don't care. You know, as long as you're not hurting people. Because I think, you know, like my grandma, she's right now, I mean, when my dad was younger, there was some stuff. But right now, like, she's an old lady. She's not hurting anybody. I don't really care what she believes, you know. So
yeah,
I'm not going to argue with her about it anymore. I'm not going to fight with her. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, whenever I bring up the thing about, you know, 80-year-old women in the, you know, twilight of their life, and why would you want to go and, you know, deconvert them or get all over them about, you know, religion. I've always got her grandmother in front and center in my mind as to like the kind of person I'm talking about. You know, she lives by herself with her
dog, her little corgi.
Yeah, and she's got photo albums all over the place, and
God.
she revels in the memories of her life. And you know, she's got Jesus iconography all over, and you know, why go just, you know, piss all over that? Why, you know? So.
And she definitely has pictures of every kid and every grandkid and great grandkid, and she has more than one album for each of them.
She really does like those projects. She spends a lot of time on them. But she's a sweet old lady.
Oh, she's wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the summary of how I became an atheist. Yeah. Let's see what else in my life.
You also have a master's degree in script writing.
I do. Well, creative writing. Yeah.
Creative writing. Yeah. With I guess.
But it's like with a focus on screenwriting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Film school grad.
Yep. Film school grad. Theater degree. Yep.
Yeah.
Had a lot of creative stuff going on in my life. I need to get back into that.
Yeah, you got a whole sort of story screenplay sort of thing you're writing. I don't know. I think it's miniseries or something personally, but
oh yeah,
you know, that's she's creative.
Yeah, I wanna do more creative things. I'd like to be able to maybe make my own like storytelling podcast, like fiction podcast. That'd be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Where are we Reformed or Orthodox atheists? I'd say Russian Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox.
Yeah, Russian Orthodox atheist. Yeah. Okay. Oh, somebody's asking if you've ever been outside the U.S.
Yeah, we went to Spain last year, and I went to Canada back when I was like 23. So those are the two places I've been outside of the U.S. Spain was beautiful, and I love it, and I loved the beach. I liked Toronto too when we went there, but it wasn't as different from the United States as Spain was. So it was like Spain was definitely a total adventure, you know, like just seeing architecture like you can't see in the U.S. and 2,000-year-old aqueducts. And
exactly. And then, and what sort of things do you like to do for fun?
Definitely movies. Love movies.
We watch a lot of movies.
Listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm working. Those are fun because I never have time to actually sit down and read. Love writing. I wish I could go to the movies. I miss being able to go to the movies. What else do I do? hang out with this guy a lot. We like to play board games, and then we also play games with our friends like once a week on Zoom. Those are fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of these days, we need to do an episode here where we, or at least talk a little bit about how the game of Trouble.
Oh, yeah, we play that game a lot.
We played a lot. And we used to play Trivial Pursuit a lot. And then we kind of got fed up with how stupid some of the questions are. But then we got Trouble randomly. I picked it up at Walmart. And that game is seriously like a perfect metaphor for life. It's better than the game of life, which we've also
Yeah,
have.
we've got that too.
Anyway, someday I'll have to explain all that, but I think
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. And and somebody's asking if you have a favorite movie genre.
I mean, probably I lean more towards the dramas, but in the superhero movies, I like those. I really liked the new Joker movie. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mixed drama and superhero, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved Batman. I mean, even the really bad Batman movies I'll watch just because it's Batman.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Batman and Robin. That one.
Yeah. George Clooney didn't really pull it off that well.
Yeah.
And those Joel Schumacher versions were not so hot.
Yeah.
But she literally all the Batman movies.
Oh yeah.
All the Batman TV
have them
shows.
all.
All of them. So yeah, we're pretty big on Batman.
And everybody just buys me Batman stuff, and I don't argue. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. Well, cool. Yeah, Clooney was definitely the worst Batman. So he actually apologized publicly.
That's right.
He was like, "I'm sorry, I ruined Batman." He was the one with the bat nipples.
Yeah, that's probably more what ruined Batman than George Clooney.
Yeah, because Clooney's a pretty good actor, but that whole thing was just such a mess. All right. Now, I know we've got comments out there about, current events, right? And so let me say a few things here. I'm only rolling my eyes because it's such a complex topic. And you know how I approach things. I like to approach things from a 300-foot view if I can, get the facts, figure out what's really going on, and then and critically think about it, and look at all ends of it. And that is impossible right now. I mean, the reason I quit doing a weekly podcast of current events is because I stopped it because I found that I kept talking about things that based on facts or facts, quote unquote, that weren't facts at all and change with investigation and stuff. And I'm not, so that being said, we are both horrified at what happened in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
We were not at all pleased to see that. We thought it was disgusting. I'm not at all an advocate for or defender of police brutality or police overstepping or police violence. I have some pretty strong ideas about how to deal with it, but it's only one of many solutions that need to go into place at many levels. And that, of course, would be, a full reformation, bottom to top, of police training and screening, vetting, and psychological care for them.
Yeah.
We need to kind of clean the culture of toxic masculinity. That's actually a place where it really exists. I learned all about it when I was doing my suicide prevention workshop work, which I did twice, and dealt with law enforcement officers who were there both times, and they both, all of them who were there were commenting on that. And it's so there's a whole kind of bro culture, whatever you want to call it, there that needs to be reformed. So that's kind of like solutions for that. I think are along those lines. Of course, we also have body cams. We have various policies that can go into place that can be very, very useful and effective to deal with. From an oversight function, I think we're showing pretty clearly over the years, over the decades really, that internal affairs within the police forces is certainly necessary, but we need, external oversight agencies as well, or we need to figure out if we do have them, what they're doing wrong or how this is not quite hitting the mark. Right. So that's sort of where I'm coming from when it comes to dealing with the police problem. When it comes to, racial inequality in this country, it's empirically the most, one of the most obvious problems in our culture, and it has been since the beginning. You go back and you watch Ken Burns documentaries, and I only go to him because he is the most renowned, expert documentarian out there, and he's really good. And you watch the Civil War, and you watch, his stuff on Congress and government, and these historical documentaries that he puts together, and they really give you a perspective on the big, long look at this, and it's bad. It's really, really bad, and we need to handle that. We need to deal with it. I was sort of thinking that, how are we going to know when it's dealt with? How are we going to, what are we trying to achieve, right? And I thought, well, if we can get everybody, if we can get the Black community, the Latin community, the Mexican community, the Asian, all minority communities, if we can get to a point where the talk is no longer necessary.
Right.
Okay, here's how you have to survive in American culture. You have to do this and this and this, and, all that stuff. When we get to the point where that is no longer necessary,
right,
I think that's going to be a pretty good metric for, okay, we've actually done something effective here. Now, there could be lots of other flags and markers and metrics people could use. It was just something that occurred to me that I thought I would share.
No, definitely. Or not having to be afraid of the neighborhood you're in because of the color of your skin and stuff like that too, that's a big one. You go to, a lot of Black people get nervous going to certain neighborhoods because white people are just going to call the cops on them.
Exactly. And and that needs to stop.
Yeah.
That's a psychological and sociological problem of magnitude. How do you deal with racial bias across a culture of mixed cultures and mixed heritages and wildly, every attitude you can have across every spectrum is represented in the United States. So so at the same time, I kind of go, well, it's a little bit, at least within our lifetime, I don't see that we're going to have this, beautiful parity of viewpoint across this huge country we have. But I do think that we can absolutely get to a place, and it doesn't have to take decades or, this ridiculously long amount of time to get to a place where we can, learn to respect one another and learn to deal with one another's differences better. Rather than all trying to be the same, we can just kind of learn how to tolerate differences. So how we get there, the things that are happening right now, I am 100%, I think we're both 100% down with all the protests that are happening. That is a constitutional right. It is something that everyone should be able to practice without threat of violence, without, intimidation. I don't know, with humans being the way they are, I don't know that we're ever going to accomplish that either. But at least we can get to the place where the official bodies, the police forces and other civic forces can not be so threatening about it, It's ridiculous. And it's scary because, you want to go protest. And at the same time, it's like you're hearing this and seeing this and going, well, I ain't going out there. So, there's this other factor with this that's going on right now of these rioters and looters and vandals and stuff. And I've seen them from day one as two different things.
Right.
I've never conflated peaceful protesters with violent rioters. You've never heard me say that. Because I know people are out there saying that, but that's not what I think is going on. I think there are hidden agitators, and I think there are known agitators, and I think that we don't know hardly anything about all of that yet. There's a ton of conjecture, half reports, half information, half truths, and people who are actively deceiving us about who they are. White supremacists acting like Antifa acting like Black Lives Matter. Just round and round and round, right? And I can't throw any of these names out without pissing somebody off. And I don't really want to do that right now because emotions are so high that it's very, very difficult to yet enter into all of this with, okay, let's take a look at what's going on, because people have these very firm, fixed ideas of what's going on.
And we don't really know yet. There's all the information isn't in.
Exactly. And it's going to take a while for it all to get in. So in the meantime, all you can really do, at least I feel, as with what I'm doing here, is to let everybody know where we stand, which is clearly, and since day one of me having a platform, my position has always been that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is probably one of the most important documents in the world, and we need to get every one of those things applied and agreed upon around the world.
Yes.
That's how I was raised. And as bad as Scientology is, L. Ron Hubbard accidentally referenced the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a good document that should be used, and which then Scientology used to start their Youth for Human Rights campaign. And I hate Scientology, up one side and down the other, but their Youth for Human Rights campaign is about one of the most effective educational tools for teaching young people about actual human rights. And it is bizarrely, tragically ironic that it is the Church of Scientology doing it. I still can't get that straight in my head. It feels so weird to even say that, but it is how it is. I mean, if you look up human rights education, they come up, and the materials they use are pretty good on that front only. And even then, I'll still reserve and there still could be some curves in there. You know what I mean? So that's anyway. That's kind of where I'm coming from on this stuff. I think it's going to take us weeks, even months, before we really understand all the factors that are at play right now. Because that's what I learned a year and a half after the fact of doing deep dives on Michael Brown, on Trayvon Martin, on black violence in America when I did this as a podcast a couple of years ago. Yeah, I went deep, and I learned in going through all the data that there was no way in the first couple weeks or months that you were going to know what was going on. This is why investigations have to happen and stuff like that. We do know for a fact that George Floyd was murdered by a police officer. That much is not at all under debate.
Yeah, that's not a question.
That's not a question I have. And when I say what's going on, that's not the question I have. It's, our response to it, what should be done, what about the training, what about these three guys, the other two who were helping, and the Asian cop who was standing there. I have a little bit of a hard time with the automatic assumption that it must have been a racist act on this guy's part. Maybe it was. It certainly could have been, but I can't read this guy's mind. This is why we have trials and stuff like this. And people who get really hot-headed during these things tend to eschew due process and don't want any of that. And it kind of gets to this, sort of, vigilante justice and all that. So I'm really not down with that. I like the structures of society. I think they work way more often than they don't work. And I think that when they don't work in sometimes very spectacular ways. But I don't think the solution to that is to then go tear it all down. And that is the thinking of some people who are out there right now. Not again, it's not some vast conspiratorial nonsense. I'm just saying there are groups out there who have some pretty bizarre goals, and they're mixed up in all of this. And until we, can get a full picture of all of the stuff and all the forces and vectors in play here, I'm going to be the jerk who won't pick up the progressive flag and go, "Rah!" And I won't also pick up the conservative flag and go, "Rah!" I just don't feel like, after, with everything I've been saying for years about critical thinking and about how our emotions can make us run away with the facts and forget reality because we've got our narrative and that must be the way it is. If I'm preaching against that all the time, then if I'm going to be accused of being a hypocrite, and I have been, by ex-Scientologists and stuff sometimes, but I don't want to be that blatant of a hypocrite about this. Not when it really matters. Not when there are real important issues on the line that matter. I want to get this right, and I want everybody else to get it right too. So that's kind of where I'm approaching it from. I haven't been keeping up with the comments. Does everybody hate me now, or are we?
No.
Okay, good. It's just touchy, it's very touchy because people want you to take sides. They want you to, and I'm, I'm on the side of humanity. I'm on the side of human rights. I'm on the side of justice and what's right. But I'm also on the side of a society that works and that works to support all of us. And I think if we tear it all down, we're not going to really be contributing to producing that. Revolutions are bloody, awful, horrible things. Civil wars are, well, if you really have questions about the Civil War, go watch Ken Burns' Civil War, and you won't have questions about it anymore. It's horrifying. It beyond anything you could possibly imagine how horrifying it can be. We don't want that. We absolutely do not want that. And I will definitely fight any efforts in that direction. But I don't think you guys want that too. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm talking to a bunch of antagonistic enemies right now. I think we're all on the same page on this stuff. So, I don't know. Those are some comments on this. Godless Scummer, thank you very much for that super chat, by the way. Really appreciate that. So, all right. So let's see here. Yeah. Oh, and this business, why don't we talk about this for a second? Let's see if I didn't even check if I've got anybody in the queue. I do. So, regards to Melissa's very honest journey. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and take this one. All right. Oh, this is Henny.
Oh, okay.
She called before. So, all right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Henny.
Hello.
Did I get your name right this time?
You sure did, Chris. How you doing this evening? Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Seven. I'm actually for a change to having a good day, which is like a rarity.
Good.
But I wanted to. Thank you so much. I'm not able to actually see the show while I'm on the phone, so I watch it later on, and I'd really love to see Seven.
Yes, you will.
Being that you guys, oh good. Well, being that you have this like Seven angle, I really would like to see Seven.
Yes.
It would make my night.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks. And I wanted to thank Melissa really for just bringing forth her truth and honesty. It's such a refreshing, just a refreshing thing to hear. That that you're honest and you explain how you grew up and what the things were that you were expected to do and expected to follow, and yet you still found your own path. And the strength that took, Melissa, is so impactful and beautiful. And I wanted to thank you for really sharing your story. It really gives us insight into who you are. and you're so beautiful and wonderful, and I wanted to thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Really, that was great. That was great.
And
I know it must not have been an easy journey either, because it's not easy growing up, and you're indoctrinated into a certain belief and trying to find your own way and what fits you. And I'm sure that being different from your family, you were ostracized in some way, and you were conformity always comes to those who are, in the midst of trying to find out their own path. And so, I give you a lot of credit, Melissa. It takes a lot of strength. And I'm sure your grandma is wonderful. And I'm sure she loves you. I'm a grandma myself. That's why I say, what I say. And that's what I wanted to say.
Awesome.
And as far as everything else goes, you're welcome, Chris. You know how I am. And I don't want to get political or anything. I want to just leave it on a good note. And I just hope that the world, I'm sure, as always, we will always pull through.
Yep.
And that's just, it's not easy. Life isn't easy. You know me with my little sayings. If life had an ass, I'd like to bend it over and kick it sometimes, But, we're all going to come through. And thanks again, Melissa, for your honesty and showing who you are. And like I said, you guys are terrific. And
thanks,
I'm going to go back to watching the show. You're
Awesome.
welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Have a good night, you all.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you, Melissa.
Oh,
Good night.
you're welcome. Good night.
Awesome. And he's so cool.
Yeah.
I always like it when she calls in. Yeah, cool. Okay, good. Yeah, Brain How. Oh, man. Yeah, he gets pretty good comments here, guys. I don't think Seven's going to be getting his own YouTube channel, by the way. However.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't really do enough. He naps a lot.
Yeah, he does. It would be a pretty boring channel, actually. You know, we watch Pet Collectives sometimes just to, when we're really stressing. Yeah, I actually recommend this.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It's Pluto TV. It's free. I mean, we don't pay for cable. Pluto TV is a free app you can get on your TV if you have a smart TV. And thanks, Sandy, for that super chat.
Yeah, you can also get it on PlayStation, and I don't know if you can on Xbox.
Oh yeah, we do it through PlayStation. Yeah. Anyway, Pluto TV has Pet Collective, Dog Collective, Cat Collective, and I know I sound a little silly, I guess, but I'm telling you, it is one of the best de-stressors you could have. These little kittens and cats and dogs and things running around and puppies.
Little puppies rolling around on the ground.
Oh my God, they are just so cute. And they really, it's a great place to just chill, right? Seven isn't cute like that when he just sleeps a lot.
Yeah, he was cute like that when he was younger, but now he's old fart and he just kind of lays around. Every once in a while he'll play. He's like, in the morning he'll chase his toys a little bit for like 10 minutes and then he goes back to napping.
Exactly. In fact, let's check back in on him since we can. He is up. Okay, there he is. He's sniffing around on the carrier there. Look at that. All right. Wonder what he's going to do. Maybe he's just kind of getting...
Yeah, he's probably just checking it out.
Getting used to it. He's interesting. He's slow, but curious.
Yes.
He's still very curious. It took us a long time to get him to go out on the porch. There he... All right.
Oh, there he goes.
There he goes. All right, we'll check back in with him in a bit. So yeah, it took us months of leaving the screen door open and going down on the porch, and then he started coming out, and now he'll be out there by himself. But at first he was like, he would take a little thing and then run across the, run away from the room, So he's kind of awesome. All right, now folks, this is a call-in show, and I would love to hear from some of you. Questions, comments, conversation, whatever you want to talk about. 984-214-4154. I really should always remember to start the show with that number, but that is our call-in line, and I would love to hear from you guys. Seven, notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Silly goose. Now, as far as just to... I don't know. I want to harp on this one a little bit, actually. I think, I know there are little mini, efforts or movements out there to try to completely dissolve police forces and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be awful because I'm like coming down on the side of the police. And I'm really not. I actually hate everything bad that's happening because of them right now. And they just need massive, massive reform, and think in the same way Scientology could use some massive, massive reform. But that training that I'm talking about, I'm not talking about doing a couple race awareness sensitivity training workshops or something. I'm talking bottom to top reform. I think college is not just something that should be required, and there's about a third of police officers have a 4-year degree, and I think there's a few states that require some college credits. I think we should have federal standards for this.
Yes.
That just blanket across the United States. This is the requirements, right? And I think that we should have well-educated individuals, right? Because that shows scholastic discipline. It shows an effort and desire and ability to learn and to, figure things out and stuff, which is absolutely necessary.
And those studies should be in certain areas too. They should be studying psychology. They should be studying culture, because then they can understand when they go and when they're dealing with someone, especially with the psychology thing, when they're dealing with someone who's maybe mentally unhealthy, they can understand that right away and oh, okay, this is how you deal with a guy that's schizophrenic,
Exactly.
You don't just shoot him.
Exactly. Or recognizing the differences between somebody who's suicidal and, somebody who is, murderous. I mean, there's different markers there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you learn these subtleties when you go do some of this training, and then you see police there and other civic people, and you're like, don't you guys already know this? And they're like, no, we don't. And then, of course, a full reorganization on their training in terms of what's the word for this? Putting somebody down, dealing with somebody who is violent or who is potentially violent. How do you deal with that, right? Compliance? How do you get compliance?
Yeah.
And one thing I've mentioned to a couple of people that seems to resonate a little bit. So let me say it this way: is as horrible and awful and harsh as the Sea organization was, and it was all of those things to a degree that were completely ridiculously unnecessary. The two things I did learn and took away from that experience that I think were useful life skills and have served me well has been discipline and competence. It's an environment that demands competence because you get busted real fucking fast if you're not. And so I kind of have learned over, all those years in that group what competence looks like, even if I don't necessarily know how to do it. That, you see the attitude and the way that people who are competent at things, or at their job specifically, how they act about their job, their attitude about it, how they approach their work. And I do, and in these cases, these instances, of course, we're seeing gross levels of incompetence. Now we can assume what's going on in their headspace too. I don't think that's particularly fruitful or useful without, actually knowing and investigating it further. But we do know right off, these people are incompetent. And we need competence. This is, who was it? Was it Chris Rock, I think? I read a quote today from Chris Rock, comedian, who said, in no uncertain terms, a beautiful statement, which was, you don't put up with, there are certain professions where you can't afford to have bad apples. You can't afford to have incompetent people. Airline pilots. There's a group of people that you can't have a bad egg there. You can't have some guy who just decides it's okay to crash into the side of a mountain, right? I think is how he put it. We can't have incompetence and stupidity in our police forces. We've got to really change the standards on that. So I think that is just some more commentary on that. Actually, it's just what I wanted to say about that. People actually had a couple other questions for you, though.
Okay.
There was some stuff about I think they were asking you, maybe they were asking me about favorite band.
Well, and this is nerdy, so don't laugh too hard. But I mean, for a really long time, it was the Bare Naked Ladies when I was younger, until Stephen Page left the band, and then we'll just say they aren't so good anymore. And but so that was my nerdy favorite band for a long time. I don't know who it is now. I like a lot of people now, but I don't know who my favorite is. I don't know that I have a favorite anymore.
I don't.
Yeah, I really like a lot of alternative rock and stuff that Chris hates, like weird ass folk rock stuff.
But she has actually broadened my musical horizons since meeting her. I've actually, for example, I didn't know anything about the Bare Naked Ladies until I met her, and then I learned all about them. And I absolutely love Bare Naked Ladies now. Right.
Yeah.
And other alternative music. She got me listening to whole different radio stations. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I like 21 Pilots. I like that's
Sean.
one of the kind of newer ones, bands that's out there, I guess. But
yeah, we listen to a lot of 21 Pilots.
And I always really liked Depeche Mode a lot. But yeah, I don't know who my favorite is anymore.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and take another call from, it says here, Art from Omaha. Let's pick this call up here. Hello, Art. Do I have your name right?
No, you're close though. It's Mark.
Oh, Mark. Okay, that speech to text thing. Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, Mark. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. You named some names earlier, so I'm kind of pissed at you right now, but I'll probably get over it. So.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm just messing with you there.
Yeah.
No, I do have a question for Melissa, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in reference to Batman, I know we mentioned stuff about George Clooney. Have you seen all of the original TV shows that were on in the 60s with Adam West and Burt Ward?
Yeah, I own the entire series.
Okay, good. I watched that as a kid growing up. I watched them first run. But anyway, my question is, what was your favorite villain from that series?
Oh, so my favorite villain in Batman in general is just Joker. But I like the Penguin a lot, too, because he had that goofy laugh.
I like the Burgess Meredith Penguin. That was actually one of the only characters from the old series I actually kind of enjoyed, too. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to admit, my favorite was the original Catwoman, Julie Newmar.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
I was in love with her as a kid.
There we go.
Of course.
Then one other kind of following that, have you watched any of the Gotham series? What do you think of that?
I watched it for a while, and then I just I don't know what happened. I just stopped watching it. I don't know if I was just disinterested or what, but I do like, I kind of like the idea of where they're coming from, like what it was like when he was a kid and how he sort of turned into Batman and what was going on with all the bad guys while that was happening, you know? I did like the concept of it a lot. I got to get back into it.
I just started rewatching. I think I watched season 2, and I don't know if that was all the seasons available, but then I never got back into it. Now they got like 5 seasons total. So
okay.
I just started watching it again, and it's they're bringing in more of the villains. Joker was one of them. I don't know if you got that far in the series.
No, I don't think I did.
And it is real interesting, kind of explaining how he is moving into being the adult Batman, but still a kid. Things are going on. So I've been enjoying that. And as a kid, I read all the comic books. Batman was my favorite superhero in the comics.
Yeah.
But,
I was fortunate enough as a teen. I was fortunate enough as a teen to be around when The Dark Knight was actually coming out right in the 80s for the first time, the Frank Miller series. And that's where so much of the
lore now
comes from. And boy, that is some good comic book writing, that stuff. I remember issue 500 of Batman coming out, and Stephen King wrote the foreword to it. Stephen King actually wrote an intro to the 500th. If I'm remembering, it was the 500th issue of Batman in Action Comics or something, and he wrote a whole thing about the Batman versus Superman debate when he was a kid, and how and of course Batman is the favorite. Even if Batman would get his ass kicked by Superman, at least he was still our favorite because he was more us
human.
He was human. At least there was that much. So.
It's I don't know. When I got to high school, I quit reading them. That was if you were in high school, that was just kid stuff. So you didn't do that. But I think it was Action Comics where I got up to not episode, but whatever, issue number 360 something. So, but I don't know if that was a Batman or if that was Superman. So. I remember one of those was really high, but Detective, I think that was always Batman. And then, was there actually one called Batman?
Batman comic?
Yeah, I mean, that was the title, because Detective Comics was Batman also.
Yes, there were so many titles that featured Batman and crossovers and all the others. And I'm far from the expert on this. I really only was in comic book world in the 80s. I collected for a little while. I actually collected G.I. Joe from issue 1.
Nice.
And some other ones. I was mostly DC at that time because the character, stable at that time was really, really popular in DC world. And then there was Crisis on Infinite Earths where they sort of resolved some things. That was a DC thing. And then I kind of got into Scientology, and it was kind of game over on comic books. And then I tried to get back into them after I left. And it kind of read a little bit too, a lot of time had passed, and they read to me more like soap operas with
Oh,
superpowers.
yeah.
I wasn't really into
Kinda
the comics
now, yeah.
anymore. But the movies.
Yes,
oh,
the
and
movies are great.
then suddenly I was Mr. Marvel because the Marvel movies are way superior to what the DC movies have put out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
I would say, well, I'm not a Marvel fan, never have been. I do like the current Spider-Man, Tom Holland, I think it is, or Tom somebody. And I just like him as an actor. I think he does the part well. He really, to me, portrays Spider-Man the way he should be in high school. So I do like that. I'm not real big on the Avenger stuff. It's just like way too many special effects and way too many this and that. Right. It's like there's no story there. It's just like, oh, something happened. Let's go beat everybody up and save the universe. And just not into
pretty
that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, yeah. I have to admit, I think it was Infinite or some Battle for Infinity or something like that. One of the later Avenger ones. I didn't go see it in the theater. I just waited till the DVD came out. I fell asleep during the main fight scene.
Oh, wow.
I woke up for the credits and didn't feel like I missed anything, actually. So,
well, fair enough.
Let me see. Yeah, it's, DC was my favorite back then. I was, fond of all DC characters. In terms of DC movies, what do you think about Wonder Woman?
Now, that's the exception.
That was a good one.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Wonder Woman was blow away. Absolutely amazing superhero movie.
I totally agree.
Yeah, really crowning it. I mean, up there, not at the same, but real super close, and certainly the best effort DC's made. Closest to Nolan, closest to the quality that Christopher Nolan brought to Batman. That was Wonder Woman, and I really hope that the sequel matches that. The preview, you can't really tell. I hope so. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It was already supposed to have come out, but got pushed back by COVID.
Darn you, COVID!
Damn you, COVID! I mean, that's the other thing about all these protests and stuff is COVID's still out there, guys.
Yeah,
Jesus, man,
Just going to say one of the best things about the riot stuff is that people are talking less about COVID.
Yeah, they are. They are. I just hope 2 months from now we're not all like really, really regretting this. I would actually be super cool with the science having been wrong on this and there not being a second spike. I'd be okay with that, and I'd be okay with walking back. Okay, you know what? We believe the scientists, and maybe they exaggerated. I'd rather have that be the future narrative than, they were actually right, and now we got a whole nother spike and a whole nother wave. I really hope that doesn't happen, but it's up in the air right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will let you get back to your show and quit talking comics and COVID.
No, you're awesome, man. Thanks for calling in, Mark.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You bet.
Cool. All right. Now, because we have given a few minutes here, let us check one more time in on Seven the Wonder Cat. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there he is inside the cat carrier.
Hanging out.
Wow. And
super exciting stuff.
This is Seven the Wonder Cat YouTube channel right there. There it is. So you see why it might not be the most exciting thing in the world. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get that off of there. Okay, guys. So we might do, if it actually turns out to be something people want to see, we might do some more live streaming of Seven there. All right. So, well, I think we're probably gonna. Wait. Now, what's this? Is this a? There is somebody in the queue. Let me see what we got here. Hello. Are you there?
Does that mean I'm on the line?
You are on the line. Is this Leo?
Yep.
Okay. Hi. Welcome to the show.
So I just want. Hey, thanks, man. So basically, I was just going to ask you, like the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
They basically ban all forms of religion.
Yeah.
Does that itself constitute the beginnings of a cult? Is it a political cult?
Oh, absolutely. The Chinese Communist Party absolutely is a political cult. Comparable to North Korea, which I've done a whole podcast on as to how North Korea is itself as a country a destructive cult. And the Chinese Communist Party is running China very, very similarly. Now, I can't talk intelligently about all the specifics of Chinese history the way I could break down North Korea. That's why I took North Korea, because it was a smaller and easier example to show. But everything I said there almost translates over exactly to the Chinese Communist Party. And a lot of what North Korea is today is because of the influence of China on that country. So I don't really have a lot of kind things to say about the Chinese Communist Party. I love the country and the people. It's no ill reflection on them that their government is an authoritarian dictatorship, but that's what it is, you know. What are you thinking on it?
This is a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Well, basically the same thing you're saying. You can copy, and it's not totally analogous, but 80%. They've got a strong central, especially with Xi Jinping, they worship him basically. But you had a guy on your show, Nathan Rich, who's a former Scientologist.
Yep.
And now he's got a channel on YouTube with close to 500,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Where basically all he does is takes Chinese Communist Party, like from the global time, stuff like that, and then just puts a Western lens on it. But have you seen any of these videos? They're just like 100% Communist Party propaganda.
I have. And I don't engage with Nathan on that because he's kind of doing his thing, but I couldn't disagree with him more. I'm not trying to trash talk him. I'm not, he's a good guy. He taught me a lot.
Me either. My question was more like, do you think is he just cashing in, or do you think the susceptibility to cult thinking that he became inculcated within Scientology led him to maybe be more susceptible to something that's got a very similar cult leaning?
Well, I can't speak to him directly as to what's motivating him, so I'm going to kind of skip away from that. But I am going to say that I was surprised to learn through professional circles that upwards of 80% of people who leave a destructive cult will go back into or go to another cult. And that number really shocked me because I didn't think it was that high. And I didn't think my effort to avoid going into another cult was that rare, but apparently it is. And so I think, yes, that there could be, in anybody who's been under that kind of a, you can call it mind control, but I'll say influence, I think is a better term. And way of thinking is what that really turns into. When you are raised in a situation like that, you start thinking certain ways, and it's really, really hard. It's taken me years to bust out of that way of thinking and retrain your brain, so to speak. And it's apparently a very, very hard thing for some people to do. I'm certainly not saying that Nathan is still as good as a Scientologist or some bullshit like that. He's got his own reasons for doing it, and I know he does. He told me when we last were in person together at a second gen gathering some amazing things about China that I never knew and never would have known unless I'd gone there, and I haven't had a chance to do that. So I know he's seeing things that are truly good there. Perhaps he's not as willing to cast as critical an eye on the government aspect of that, and that's a shame because it's not a good scene there.
Sure, yeah, I don't hate the guy, and there's a lot of great things about China, but it's very clear when you watch his videos that he's almost just a direct government mouthpiece.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that except it's a shame. I wish he wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Cool, man. Yep. Thanks for calling in. All right. Good. We will drop that and cool. Yeah. That was kind of one of those cases for me of if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything kind of thing, which is why I've never commented on Nathan's YouTube channel because I'm not into just the drama of things. But yeah, I really couldn't disagree with him more on that topic. All right, let's see if we got anything else you see coming in through the comments there we need to pay attention to.
I mean, a couple people were asking if we're having protests out here.
Oh, we are.
We are.
Oh,
definitely. There's been rioting in downtown Denver. And
yeah, a little bit.
yeah,
I mean,
not like
bit.
other states, but
yeah,
definitely
certainly.
broken windows and a little bit of looting and stuff.
Exactly. But I mean, I could be wrong. I've certainly been wrong before. I think we're over a hump point on that aspect of this. I'm fine with the protests continuing to go on for however long they want to go on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not okay with the violence and the riots and the looting going on. That needs to stop. And the protesters know this too. I mean, this is not controversial, to say this. So that kind of stuff needs to go away. And I think we're at the point where it's going away, and where I think where that's happening. Now, I also said I was going to say a couple words about Antifa, and those couple words are I will be doing podcasts in the future about that group specifically. It's a little bit dangerous to talk about them in a critical way for a number of reasons, including the actual real threat of real world violence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been a little reluctant about that, but that just, there's nothing wrong with being anti-fascist. In the case of certain of these groups and individuals who fall under this banner here in the United States, I'm not speaking about European contingents of Antifa. I don't know anything about them, but I do know here in the U.S., it's not just that. There's more. That's a deeper pool or a deeper well than you might think. And words mean things, but words also get redefined. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things that's going on right now that I know is happening, but I'll speak more to it when things get clearer, is there is a lot of propaganda running around out there by redefinition of terms, where you hear anti-fascist and you think, yay, good thing. But what they mean by that is actually a very different thing. And you got to go into their literature, go to their websites, go down their manifestos, which I've done, in order to see what they're actually saying. And it's not what you think. And that's why you see pushback from me in that direction on those groups, even though I'm 1,000% anti-fascist. Mm-hmm. My entire life work is anti-fascist. So, it's not a matter of, I want fascism, but these guys are kind of a different animal in some ways. And I know I'm gonna have to do a whole thing on that, and that'll come in the future. So. All right, and I think, let's see here. I think we'll wrap up now. We've been going pretty good here. Had some good conversations.
Yeah.
You guys learned about my beautiful wife, and now you know why I love her so much, or at least you have a little bit of idea. So I think we'll move to wrapping up here, guys. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for all your support and help and viewership, and please share my work around the internet. And if you are, share it more. I want to build this show. I want to build my channel more, and I want to, broaden out like we've been doing. I think we're doing a pretty good job at this, all things considered. Also, got a bonus episode up if you guys didn't see it yesterday with Aaron Smith-Levin. He and I did a live stream yesterday, which was a lot of fun. We talked about Clearwater and Scientology. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. And with that, I think we'll move toward wrapping up here. So thanks for coming around, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.